Hello, this is Grandin Gill, the Academic Director of the Doctor of Business Administration program at the University of South Florida, Muma College of Business. And it is my pleasure to present this brief video intended to introduce our mentor program, particularly for individuals who are going to become mentors in the program and for the candidates who will be assigned to a mentor. So let me begin by providing just a little bit of background on the program. What we've found in our first two cohorts that have graduated is there's a certain amount of confusion about the process and about the expectations during the third year of the program when everyone is working on their dissertation or dissertation project. And one of the ideas that we had was to take graduates, now that we have some graduates, and assign them to a third year student and to serve as a mentor. Now, there are certain costs associated with this program because there's a lot of administration involved, and we also have to provide the mentors with lunch and parking. And I am so grateful to our first cohort, the class that graduated in 2017, for funding this program. And with that funding, we are now able to launch the program. So I'd like to begin this presentation by quickly talking about what a mentor is, and particularly what a mentor is not. And this particular slide is aimed specifically at the candidates who will be assigned a mentor. So let's begin with what a mentor is not. And there's a whole variety of things that a mentor should not be asked to do. One thing is the mentor is not a substitute for the committee. Ultimately, during the dissertation process, it is your 4 or 5 person committee who will make decisions regarding what is acceptable and what is not. Your mentor really does not have a direct role in that process. However, your mentor can make suggestions to you, and your mentor is welcome to chat with the committee, but the mentor has no official capacity. Another important thing a mentor is not is an unpaid proofer. If you give a mentor something to read, the expectation is the mentor will read it, but we expect that it will be in reasonable shape before you ask for feedback, unless the mentor specifically asks for rough draft. And in particular, you should not expect a mentor to be proofing documents. We can pay editors to do that. Another thing that a mentor is not is an official source of information about the program. The mentor is a recent graduate of the program. The mentor has his or her own experience, but if you want official information about the program, you should be talking either to me as the academic program director or to our administrator about the procedures, particularly university procedures, and that's where you can get your official information from. Finally, the mentor is not a co-author or an expert in your research area. The mentor is designed to help provide feedback about the process. In many cases, your research area will be something outside of the mentor's area of expertise, which of course is also true about the faculty members on your committee. In the DBA program, you're expected to be the expert in your domain, particularly if it involves your job. The practice expert, of course, not necessarily the research expert. Part of the dissertation process is our intention for you to become the research expert as well as the practice expert. But we cannot expect the mentors to have similar levels of expertise, and they may not even have similar interest in the area. They may have been assigned to you because they're very, very good at a particular research method that you want to apply. Now, what is a mentor? Well, a mentor is a sounding board, and we encourage you to use the mentors that way. It's a good place to get some feedback. The mentors can give you some unofficial guidance on the process, and particularly how the process feels when you're on the receiving end of it, what it's like to be a candidate, and what his or her expectations were when going through the program. The mentor can be a source of constructive feedback, and I emphasize this. All feedback from mentors should be constructive. We don't want mentors basically providing criticism without suggestions for solutions. And optionally, when it comes time for you to do your actual dissertation defense, a mentor can serve as the chair of that defense. Remember that the role of the chair in a dissertation defense is principally to make sure that the process is fair. And if the mentor is available for that, then you are welcome to invite the mentor to serve as the chair, and we can appoint them. So if you're serving as a mentor in the DBA program, it is an entirely volunteer position. There is no compensation associated with it. This was a decision we made when designing the program, and we think it is the most sensible way to go. That way there are no potential conflicts of interest. But there are certain privileges you get as a mentor. We will be giving you a courtesy appointment to the college. And this basically gives you a couple of key benefits. One, you have access to the library, and two, you have access to Canvas, and we can add you to the dissertation course so you can see work that's being submitted. And these are both things that are really provided at the university level. Now, within the DBA program itself, the benefits that you get for being a mentor is you're free to join us for any meal that the program serves. You just have to let us know that you're coming, so we make sure that there's enough food. And in the budget that we established for mentors, we have some money that we can allocate if extra meals are needed. We'll give you a free parking hang tag every time you visit, so you won't have to pay for the privilege of being a mentor. And finally, and most significantly, as we assign recent graduates to dissertation committees, we have at least one per every dissertation committee. People who have been successful mentors will be first in line. The dissertation committee service is compensated, and for people who have been through it, it's a very, very positive experience to serve on a committee because it keeps you engaged with research after you've graduated from the program. So those are the sort of three benefits that we provide from the program itself. So I've already had a lot of questions about what it means to serve as a mentor and what our expectations are. And basically the expectations are as follows. First, we want you to meet face-to-face with the candidate once a semester. I realize that this might involve travel to Tampa from people outside the area, but we do think a face-to-face meeting once a semester is just good to keep the mentor relationship going and active. We also would expect that you would be available to answer phone calls from the candidate. Many of you who volunteered to be mentors remember your own dissertation process, and sometimes it's very nice to have someone non-judgmental to talk to. You should be willing to give the candidate feedback on early stage products. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the candidate should not be sending you something that is so rough that you need a translator to figure out what it means, unless you specifically ask for it. Some mentors may want to see stuff in the very, very early stages, but you should be willing to give feedback on intermediate products, perhaps before it goes to the committee. That will just help the candidate feel a little bit more comfortable about the stuff that is submitted to the committee. You should definitely feel free to offer guidance on the whole process, on relationships with committees, but this is based on your personal experience. As I mentioned previously, this is unofficial, but sometimes unofficial guidance is the best. You should fill out your paperwork promptly. One of the things that we've taken on as a result of the mentor process is giving courtesy appointments to all individuals who serve as mentors. Now, what this means from a practical matter is you need to enter the university system. We need to arrange a background check. We'll need original copies of transcripts and all that type of stuff, and we really need to get that in. I realize this is a huge pain in the neck, but it is a requirement that the university places on us to make sure that all the people we have in an instructional capacity are, in fact, people we want to have in an instructional capacity. And finally, if it's convenient, you can serve as the chair of the final dissertation defense. And that's really up to you and the candidate. If it fits your schedule, that's fine. It's kind of a privilege to serve as a chair, even though you don't get paid for it. And we would welcome you doing so. And Michelle, our administrator, would be particularly welcoming, because that way she doesn't have to search for another faculty member to serve as chair. But it's certainly not a requirement. But it is something that you'd be encouraged to do if it's convenient. Just the way we have expectations for mentors, we also have expectations for the candidates who are assigned a mentor. And these basically could be described as follows. First, we want you to meet with your mentor once a semester. There's nothing that's going to demotivate a mentor more than a candidate who's unwilling to meet with them. And this can just be at lunch during a residency weekend. It does not have to be a long weekend. Obviously, some people are going to want to spend more time with their mentors than others, and we leave that up to you. But we do want to have one face-to-face meeting each semester. Be cognizant of the mentor's schedule. The mentor is doing this as a volunteer. They're not really getting that much extra for doing it in terms of privileges, and we want to make sure that the mentors feel welcome and appreciated. When you're providing the mentor documents, don't give the mentor documents that are in such rough shape that the mentor can't figure out what you're doing. You want to get a fair screening from the mentor, and you don't want to give the mentor something where they come back and say, look, I just cannot figure out what you've given me. Again, if the mentor says, just give me your scraps, then you're welcome to do that. But in general, try to provide the mentor with something that has some level of quality in it. Very important, listen to the advice of the mentor, but remember, the mentor has no official capacity. Every decision you make has to be your own. Hopefully the mentor will give you some useful guidance, but it is entirely up to you. It's different from the committee role. And the committee role, there are times when you really will need to pay close attention and follow their advice if you want to get through the process on time. But when you're dealing with your mentor, it's entirely unofficial. And that's one of the benefits of having a mentor, is you can get that kind of unofficial feedback. Don't use the mentor as leverage. There is nothing that will kill this program faster than if people go into their committees and the candidate says, well, my mentor says this, so I think that's better advice than you're giving me. The mentor is not intended to be leveraged. The mentor is intended to be someone that you can use unofficially. And I will get very cranky if I start hearing that people are trying to use their mentors to force the committee to do things that the committee does not think right. I also don't think it will work. Finally, at the end of the mentorship, we want you to provide useful feedback on your mentor, and you'll be given a form to do that. Part of the reason for that is slots on dissertation committees are very competitive. We want to find out what mentors have really gone above and beyond the call of duty in serving as mentors. And we also want to decide if the process is working. The process of the mentor program is not free because everyone's volunteering. It's not very expensive, but there are stipends to be paid for the extra work it creates to do all the appointments and the scheduling. And there's also the meals and the parking permits and stuff like that. And we're not going to spend that money unless we see some real benefits from it. And it's up to you to be honest with us about it. Don't tell us what we want to hear. Tell us what you experienced. So, if you've got questions about the process, where do you go? Well, if your questions are related to the role of the mentor or what the mentoring process is, then you should contact me as the academic director of the program, grandin@usf.edu. If you have logistical questions, like how do I get a parking hang tag, what are they serving for lunch, any questions like that, then I would recommend that you contact Michelle or Lauren, our administrators, M. Walpole at usf.edu or L. Baumgartner at usf.edu, and they will be delighted to help. As I mentioned, particularly when you're coming in for a visit, do contact Michelle or Lauren before you arrive so we have enough meals. We'll also use those meal requests as a way of verifying that the mentors have come in at least once a semester to chat with their candidates. I want to conclude this presentation by one more time giving my special thanks to the Muma College of Business's DBA class of 2017, who made a very generous donation of $30,000 to help fund this mentor program. And without their support, it never would have happened. So thanks, graduates, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.